back to another Friday night of Let's Talk Bench Rest with Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies. And tonight we're going to talk about range conditions. We're going to talk about wind, humidity, mirage. Uh, how do you prepare for that? How do you combat it when you're at the range? Um, Got lots of interesting conversation tonight. We're going to try to get through all this, and hopefully you guys over there in the side chat will follow along and give us a little input, because I know everybody's had a day at the range where they've had to uh, go up against the elements. So I see already we got J Delta 22 in North Carolina. Welcome, buddy. So I'm going to bring out the guys out of the green room one at a time. First up, we got Justin Lowe. How was your week, buddy?
Hello, everybody. Had a good week. Glad to be on here tonight and hopefully learn something or help somebody out with something they don't know.
All right. Up next, we got that Rimfire Dave.
Hi, everybody. I'm back. Good as new.
Good as new. He had that lip operated on. It didn't slow him down a bit eating them tater chips a while ago. I seen him do it.
It's getting better staying up there, you know. It droops a little bit, but I ain't got my lip caught in the action yet.
I see Vince Ratliff over there making fun of my ceiling fan. I mean, I got to keep the air stirring in here. There's a lot of hot air.
There is. And I got a new hat, too.
Bass Pro. Got Rustic Rimfire over in the side chat. Randy K. Hasbro. Living in Southwest Virginia. Welcome aboard tonight, guys. Thanks for joining us. Next up, we got Hasbro. How was your week, Hasbro?
Hey, guys. Good. I was not in Mexico, so I had a great week. I mean, it was fantastic, even with the rain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I'm sitting right next to this guy.
Uh-oh.
He used to give us a lot of lip, but now he gives us a little bit less lip. He's still got a lot to give. And Dave, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to hear. And good to see you guys, too. Good to be with you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I ain't gonna tell you where they got that skin from on his lip.
Don't ask, don't tell.
I'm just kidding.
Chad, if you tell me you're sore right back here, I don't want to know.
All right. Up next, we got that George from Southern Rifle. How's your week been, George?
Up and down. Pretty decent, though. I finally got to shoot a little bit this week. Made 2 or 3 videos. They all come out this week, I guess. But
got hot enough where you could come out of hibernation, huh?
Yeah, buddy. Finally.
We wanted it to get hot, and next thing you know, we'll be complaining about it being too hot.
Already am, yeah.
All right. How about that Minnesota Mike? How's your week been?
I've had a good week. Got out and did some videos here this week, and some of them have been posted up. Been moving some things around on the channel to release it in a little bit different order, and I'm hoping to get out and do a little bit more this weekend here. So
I'm struggling to keep up with these challenge targets. There's so many coming out, and I just can't keep up with them all.
Yeah,
I'm working
on another one.
Can't afford to. You got another one?
I'm working on another one.
Oh. I love them. I enjoy them. I wish I could get time to shoot every one of them, but it's just impossible.
Yeah, you can.
All right, we got Doug Thomas in here tonight. Thank you for joining us. And up last but not least, and he's my technical support, we got that hillbilly up.
Hey, everybody. Good to see y'all tonight. Happy to be here. Good to see you back, Super Dave.
Super Dave.
Heck yeah.
Mm.
We need to get him a T-shirt.
Hey, Billy, you been shooting any seltzers?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Been shooting them hard seltzers. And
So what
got
about
those
your what about your challenge target? Are you getting a lot of feedback on it? Are you getting a lot of entries? Or
yeah, lots of emails, people wanting to shoot it and stuff. And so if you hadn't seen, besides, we got one of the BB guns, one for bench rest rifles, one for pistols, and we end up doing another one for called it Cowboy. So it's iron sights, lever actions, or you don't have to be a lever action, but just iron sights, And so anyway, I shot that with a lever action 22 long rifle, starting that off, and then I went out and shot it today with or the other day with Rossi Model 92, and so that video will be coming out the first of the week. But yeah, having a lot of fun with all those, and like I said, there's so many challenge targets out there. I'd love to shoot them all. It's just hard to find the time sometimes, So, but a lot of fun targets out there to shoot, no doubt about it. So.
absolutely, these guys are thinking up some good targets, and I can't get to them all. I apologize. I want to, and I don't want anybody to get offended because I'm not shooting them, because I know it's kind of my thing is shooting challenge targets. But I came home this week and was going to print off a couple to take to the range, and my printer's out of ink, so that's another problem. So they come out so fast anymore, and a lot of them look like some good looking targets. So
well,
I'll get
probably
around
2 or 3 a week.
I get around to them eventually. I just I may have them posted up after they've already came and gone. So all right, well, let's start getting into our topic for this week, and that is conditions. So what are the conditions, and how do they affect your accuracy? The wind, the light, the temperature, the air density. Variable conditions are the worst. Constant conditions can be overcome. More than one condition at a time can be a nightmare, but hopefully everyone else is experiencing the same condition at the same time you are. So, tonight we're going to talk about giving up your secrets on how you read the conditions and while you're shooting a match. And let's be honest, the rifle and the ammo can only get you so far. There has to be a decision made when to shoot and where to aim. What little tips and tricks can you share to help someone's score? So the first topic we're going to talk about tonight is probably everybody's worst condition, and that's the wind. So how do you read the wind? Do you watch the weather and try to prepare for a match? And what type of wind flags do you use, and what data are you getting from those wind flags, and how do you apply it? So, because I mean, I know my wind flag is a little piece of ribbon stapled on the target board, but I've seen some of these fancy wind flags. It's got tails and rotors and all that on them, and I don't understand all that really, how people read those. They got like an angle thing and stuff. So I know there's a couple of you in here that can probably tell us how we're reading that fancy wind flag. So we'll just go around the room, and Justin, you share a little bit about your experiences with wind and how you combat it.
So at our local club, we don't get carried away with wind flags. We do put some out. I like reading wind, by looking at the grass on the berms and the leaves on the trees and stuff like that. More of a natural type of reading, or what you feel on your skin type thing. I'm sure for utmost bench rest accuracy, having 5 flags every 10 yards, would definitely give you a better reading, better indication. We just haven't got that far with our club yet. But I think the most impactful wind is what is closer to the muzzle. Once that bullet is pushed off its path, it's not going to come back. It's not going to get any better. So what you feel at the muzzle, that's a pretty good indication whether you should shoot or not. If you have a constant condition and on a windy day and it's blowing the same direction, you can make a adjustment for that. But if it's a varying condition, it's a guessing game on what's going to happen, the outcome.
What about you, Dave? What kind of wind flags do you use? How do you combat it? And do you look at the weather before you decide whether or not you're going to a match, and all the above? Also, another question that you might want to add while talking about wind is what wind do you feel like matters more, wind at the muzzle or wind at the target?
Well, I'll answer that question first. It's a simple one. The wind at the target, the bullet's already there. So it's a little late. It's already at the target. The most important wind is what Justin said, right at the bench. And the wind has 3 variables. The first one is direction. What direction's the wind coming from? You need to know that. The second one is velocity of the wind, because the wind velocity varies also along with direction. And the third thing I have to determine is when to shoot. And I use the opposite way. I know when my wind flags move, that's telling me don't shoot. It doesn't tell me when to shoot. It tells me don't shoot. And I can't, teach you all that in 5 minutes. It takes a lot of practice to learn the wind and mirage. They work hand in hand. If you can learn to read the mirage, you'll become a very good shooter. You'll still get caught. And the last thing about wind is you can see a pickup, but you can't see a let off. Like if you have one with a windmill that's moving around and the wind stops, inertia is going to keep it moving, but actually the wind dropped off. But you say, oh, it's still good. And then you shoot one way out in the pea patch and don't understand what happened because you can't see a let off. You can see a pickup, but you can't see a let off. And I probably put a lot of information out in 3 minutes there. But
that was good information.
I use wind flags. I use one every 10 yards, and I pay attention to them all, but I watch the closest one the most. I hope I didn't confuse you.
Do you use the fancy wind flags?
I use a speed indicator. It's a paddle, and it moves. The wind moves it. And if it leaves number 1, I don't shoot. That's too much velocity.
Okay.
And it don't tell you direction. It just tells you velocity. I use that surveyor's tape about 7-8 inches on every stake, and that gives me direction. And then I also have a little windmill that sits on my bench that gives me direction.
Yeah, that's currently what we have on our range. Is we got some stakes that we put in the 25-yard stands, and there's survey tape on those, so you can read the tape. And then we also made some wind flags that are pop bottles on a post, and they got a piece of that
Like a fiberglass rod. Yeah.
Survey and tape on it, and as the wind blows, that bottle will rotate and it'll follow the wind also. So,
Yes.
George, you're up next, and you want me to throw that picture up there?
Yeah.
All right, George has a picture he shared with us here.
It's called a wind indicator.
Okay.
It was one of the easiest.
That gives you velocity.
Right. And that's one of my favorite things to have on the range, buddy. And I put it out about I don't have any of them anymore.
Yeah, that's what I use.
can tell you right now. But if you put them out like about 15 yards, man, they'll tell you a world. My favorite flags, period, are Mike Ezell made. And I don't think he makes them at all anymore. He made a killer tuner, too, the PDT tuner, I think it was called. Powder-driven technology. He made tuners, too. But he made a killer set of wind flags. And that, along with a wind indicator like that, man, you'll wonder how in the hell you ever shot without them. And that's what I was just looking at here. These sail tails from Flying Fish Fundamentals. Probably the best thing I ever used was just these. You could put these on a rod themselves and just use them if nothing else. Flying Fish Fundamentals. I don't even think he's in business anymore. I don't know. David Halbaum, I think's his name. But yeah, and I shoot here all the time without nothing. But I'm so used to shooting here. I've got a tree out there by the target that I watch it all the time. And I've got plants out here on the deck that I watch them. And I kick myself all the time for not setting flags out, doing these challenges and stuff. And doing these 100-yard challenges that we're all trying to do now. I will definitely set some flags out to do those. Because you can't shoot rimfire accurately without them. I mean, you can try, and I do, and obviously we all do, because everybody's making these videos. I ain't seen a damn wind flag yet. I think closest one I've seen was Mike down there, had one on the table. I mean, we all do it, but we all know better, too. We all know we could do much better with wind flags.
I don't watch a wind flag. I just watch Justin. When Justin don't shoot, I don't shoot.
There you go. There you go. If you'll watch, man.
When Justin goes like this.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
But I ain't set a wind flag out in years, literally years. I mean, ever since the last ARA match, I guess, that I shot. And I know to myself that I cannot do well without them, but I do anyway.
Yeah, I might have to go buy some wind flags. George tells me I'm gonna get better.
You will.
You'll have to help.
100% will.
Yeah.
And there's Vince chiming in. He says he watches Justin too. when Jason raises up from his rifle and quits shooting, everybody quits shooting.
It's like a ceasefire.
Conditions are bad.
It's a temporary ceasefire.
Yeah.
Unspoken ceasefire.
Hasbro, what about you, buddy? How do you prepare for the wind? How do you read the wind?
Well, other than black powder stuff, my first, and that was all just reading the wind when I was shooting competition that way. My first serious competition was F-class, FTR, and you're not allowed to have flags. At least you weren't when I was shooting. I think it's still true. And so you have to read grass, mirages. A lot of it's reading the mirage. You can watch it, move a little bit here and there, and that'll help you. Not as accurate as a wind flag, but it'll help you on direction. And then at 50 yards in my setup at my house and at the range, believe it or not, I take these little surveying flags, like if you go out and they mark your yard with. Mm-hmm. I buy them, 200 for $5 or something. I'll just set those along, and that's okay, but it's pretty low to the ground, right? And that doesn't give you an accurate reading. especially when you're lobbing. At 50 yards, no big deal, but the longer you go at 22, right, you're dropping a lot, and you're not going to get an accurate wind reading. The one thing I've seen a lot shooting a bit of NRL 22 recently is a lot of the guys that have these flag and anemometer setups and all kinds of stuff on a pole, either off a shooting setup or off their scope setup. And I always thought that didn't make a lot of sense to me because it's behind you, right? And in our range, you can shoot, and you think that wind is going left or right, and when you get the target, it's right to left. If you don't know that, then you're saying, oh, yeah, that's your wind. You have no clue what's about to happen. So you got to be able to look at the environment, grass, trees, everything else, read that a little bit. Now, not as accurate on velocity, but it'll tell you direction.
Somewhat on velocity.
Yeah.
Straight down.
I just mean it's not as accurate as a flag where you can index it,
Yeah.
A hillbilly's going to tell us it's by the direction of his tobacco juice.
Yeah.
What to do with it, buddy?
Well, he used to have a mullet, and whichever way his mullet blew.
That turned him.
Yeah. It's on a swivel stool, and it'll point you in the right direction.
All right, here, Billy, let's hear it.
Well, same thing I've always done. Same thing shooting guns or playing golf or whatever, either tear you off a little piece of, some grass and throw her up in there, see where she blows. Or, the best indicator right here is just this right here. You hold her up and never lies. So
you pick up the dirt.
Be careful where you had that finger before.
The dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, don't use the wrong hand.
Oops, wrong finger.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be bad.
Mike, what about you, buddy? I've noticed in some of your videos I've seen a flag sitting on the bench kind of behind you.
Yeah, I've been putting that up in some of the videos lately. And what that is, it's these MDT, little 3-piece pole flags that will, give you direction, and you get some indication of, velocity or wind speed based on the piece of tape on the tail end of it. And I've got like half a dozen of these, and you don't see them in my videos because how I'm shooting either through, I guess there have been a few videos where I've talked about it, like when I was filming through scope cams and stuff, and purposely showed those flags out between me and the target area. But I do believe in flags, and I do use them. My thing is the 3 F's, and it's feel, foliage, and flags. That's something that was ingrained in me, and that goes back to 20 years in the Marine Corps, rifle qualification every year, 2, 3, 500 yards with an AR, and having to be able to read wind flags, because that score, whether you qualify as expert sharpshooter or marksman, is a difference in whether or not you're getting promoted. So there's a lot of value to that. And the thing with flags too, that you don't hear a lot of people talk about is, you can have a flag, but can you tell what the value of the flag is? Because there's quarter value, half value, and if it's, essentially, if you've got a flag and it's, and it's just doing this and it's going straight right to left, then that's full value. But if it's coming at you, from an angle, kind of at an oblique, it's only half value, even though the flag's out here like this. But if you can't pick up on that it's coming at you from 10 o'clock to your 4 o'clock, then you need to cut whatever and there's stuff out there back at that point in my life where you knew that these range flags at those ranges, if it was out at this, the wind was doing 9 to 12 miles an hour, type of a thing. And that told you how many clicks to make on that rear sight, shooting, iron sights back then. So I do believe in flags, I guess is what I'm saying. But more than flags, it's feel. It's what Justin said off the bat. It's what I can feel on my skin, whether I shoot or not, when I squeeze the trigger, because all the important part is where, you know, the effect of the bullet at the muzzle, because if it deviates it a little bit, well, at distance, it just opens up and gets worse and worse and worse, right? So, and then it's foliage, but it's not what's the grass doing down in the berm area, because like, you know, Dave said, that's irrelevant. The bullet's already there. You know, you could have a little dust devil or tornado going right in front of your target, and you should still be hitting the target. You know, so and then the last thing I guess I would say or add to it is, if you've seen in some of my videos, I've got a Kestrel that's this one. This is my rimfire Kestrel, because I've got a couple of different rifles programmed into this for different ammos, and so I don't have to change stuff. And this is my centerfire. It's a better Kestrel, but it's, you know, shooting at further distances. But whether it's centerfire matches or it's sometimes in some of the video stuff I do, you might see this in a little tripod thing that rotates and moves with the wind. So I've got it telling me right there and then, real time, that I've got 6 miles an hour. And when it's moving it because of the wind at the bench, it's also letting me have that visual that I've got 6 mile an hour wind, but it's coming at me from this direction. So not that I can't feel that, but it validates what I'm thinking is going on by being able to look down on my bench and get, you know, the readings off the LCD screen on the front of it. So it's just another gadget, but it's, you know, and they're not that darn expensive. So I guess that's all I got to say on that part of it.
Oh, all good information. Very good information.
Yeah.
Hillbilly, what do you say we call off that side chat? I've got 30 people in here, so watching. So let's type in the word wind.
Wind. All right. Well,
That's a
I'll
dirty
be
word.
more happy to shout them out there.
I can't spell it. I'm going to spell wind instead.
So, yep. Chad did out there, so type in wind. And we got Hasbro, we got Helping Man, Alaska One Andy, Minnesota Shooting Sports, we got Fuku YT, we got Living in Southwest Virginia, he used to be known as Steve. We got Vince Ratliff, we got Ronald Eastman, Doug Thomas, Chris Lang, J Delta 22 North Carolina. We got Darwin Harris out there. We got Rimfire Super Dave out there. We got Randy K, Southern Rifle, Chris Lang. We got Mike Moore out there. We also got Michael 47. We got Lead Fever out there. And Big Sky says, "Hey y'all."
Man, we started calling out the side chat. We jumped from 30 to 38 viewers. Let's do it. Going to do that more often.
It's probably just a panel logged in.
So
I can't. I don't know about you guys, but I can't. Like I'm using the computer right now, and I got me a camera stuff where I can do it on my computer, and I can't type on the side chat in here. I can see it, but I can't type on it because StreamYard wants me to do an account.
Yeah, they want you to sign in. So, like,
well, if you did type in on Chad, it'd show up Chad's name anyhow.
Yeah.
So
you should be opening up at
Facebook or YouTube and type in up there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Open a YouTube window.
I can do it on my phone fine, but I can't do it on the computer.
Yeah, that's what I have to do. Like when I'm on Hillbilly's thing, I have my phone on separately, and I just turn the volume down on my phone so it don't echo.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like I just typed in StreamYard, hello, and it showed up as Chad. So it don't do you any good to type in the StreamYard.
So we got Mr. Bob Dabalino coming in there.
Hey, all right, Mr. Bob. Good to see you.
Yeah. So All right, so moving on, the next condition we're going to talk about is light. And I know with the type of scopes that Justin and I use a lot, light matters. So uh, it as the light changes, your point of aim also changes, and especially in these older scopes like the Unertals and um, the old 1 inch tube scopes like the Leopolds and the Weavers with the 1 inch tube. When it starts getting low light, then you start losing visibility really quick. Um, so, Justin, go first. Talk about the light. Are you
So,
conscious? Are you conscious of the light changes, and how does it affect your accuracy? And I'm reading these notes because Justin created this itinerary, and he also has a note on here that says older non-coated lenses are sensitive to light changes. And do you watch the shadows and return to sighters when the clouds come over? So go ahead, Justin.
so like Chad said there, the older scopes like the Unertals that don't have coated lenses, light affects those old scopes way more than modern scopes. So shooting in a vintage class type match, you better be watching those shadows on an overcast day as light conditions change. Even though it's 50 yards, their shadows will affect where that bullet's going to impact. You can aim the same spot, but you're not going to hit that same spot because it's theoretically not there anymore. The way the light refracts. So definitely be conscious, even with modern scopes. With shadows, you see it more pronounced at longer range, for sure. But anytime you see a cloud come over and a shadow cast on your target, might be a good idea to go back to a sighter and make sure you're still on. Some of those unexplained instances when you don't hit exactly where you think and there's no wind, light could be the culprit of why you're not performing the way you think.
Can I ask you something there, Justin? What if you got illuminated scope? Does it matter then?
No, it's what's going on. The ambient light. From the cloud blocking the sun. One kind of close, I guess, case that you could see is like if you ever stuck a pencil into water and you see that that pencil looks bent. Same thing's kind of going on with perception of where the target is looking through the scope. You have light refraction. What you're seeing through your eyes, target's actually in a different place. The way it's perceived. I may not explain that well, but that's kind of what's going on.
Totally getting away from bench rest here, but we shoot trap a lot, Justin and I do, and a lot of times when trap starts, the sun's out, and as the sun starts going down and the light changes, when you're shooting at that bird in the air, it's not where you think it is because when it hits that shadow, it changes the depth perception of that bird, and you'll miss.
Oh, yeah.
So I shouted out to Chris Lang over in the side chat, said, "What's the temperatures down there in Texas, brother?" And he said 100s. That's definitely a range condition.
Wow.
Yeah, that counts.
Ooh,
Well,
Justin, you mentioned that light distortion. It's actually kind of very
You reach a
similar
lot of
to
mirage.
parallax, right? If you
Yeah.
don't get that right and you can move your eye a little bit, that target is not where you think it is.
Right.
And it's kind of a similar effect.
Yes.
all right, Rimfire Dave, tell us all about it.
Well, I did a video on what affects a rimfire, and I didn't leave anything out. Everything affects a rimfire. A light,
Yep.
definitely. And a long, long time ago, when I started shooting, an older shooter said, "Go out early in the morning and shoot your rifle. get a good 0, nice calm day, and then wait till 5 o'clock and do it and see how much it changed.
Yep.
And it shocked me. It was a lot.
Yep.
Because the light's over here and then it's over here. That's why they put knobs on it. You have to adjust.
Yep.
You have to adapt, improvise.
So,
Yep.
a lot of my practice sessions take place early in the morning or late in the evening. Our matches start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if I go the evening before and practice and I zero my scope and I'm like, daggone, I'm dead on, I'm just going to leave this thing alone. This is the way I'm going to shoot it tomorrow. Then I show up to the match and I'm like, what happened?
Light.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with wind. It's light.
That's the best way that I can explain it to you right
Yep.
there. I mean, what you shoot at 6 o'clock
That's
in
it.
the afternoon, the next day at
It's
2
all
o'clock in the
different.
afternoon, it'll be different.
It's not the scope. It's not your
Exactly.
you're holding 0. It's light.
Yep.
Damn,
It
that's
is.
right.
Yep.
All right, George, what you got to add, buddy?
Not much. Y'all pretty much said it all. I mean, I've done that test that Dave was just talking about, and shot in the morning and then shot in the evening. I've done it with PPC, but you wouldn't believe what difference it makes.
So,
At
and
closer distance, it don't matter as much, but long range, we're talking feet that you'll be off.
Yeah. So I always practice right before the match. I show up early. Each gun that I'm going to shoot, I'll fire some rounds and I'll practice, because I can't tell you how many times the guys come in there and says, "Oh yeah, man, I was up here yesterday and my gun's ready today," And I was like, "Well, you gonna practice today?" "No, man, I'm ready." Then they sit down there like, "What the heck happened?"
Yep.
You should have practiced before the match, because that's when you're actually going to shoot. So
I'll tell you something else too. Talking about light. In our country, we got this big killer lights up on top of the building. Like it's 4 of them, and I forget where he got them at. But son, it lights up the damn world. You could shoot out to 100 yards easy if you wanted to. But I shot some of my best scores at night down there under them lights. Everybody does. Everybody shoots better at nighttime under those lights.
the wind also.
It's
The
so
wind-
bright. Matter of fact, if you've got, like a night force or something, I mean, you've got scope eye for half hour after you get done shooting. You're blind in that eye.
Yeah. I think the wind lays down a lot late in the evening and
That has
nighttime
a lot to
too.
do.
Yep. So, Chris Lang says sunlight directly into the scope is the best lighting. If it was up to him, all ranges would point to the east.
No, it's not, dude. It'll leave those spots in it for sure. Yeah.
Burn your retina out.
That must, what are you talking about at night there under the lights? That must be why deer hunting's the best after dark.
That's how I got my start.
They're staying still when you shine a light in their eyes.
I'm kind of with George. If you can shoot at night, it's awesome. And the reason being is Hasbro, for me, actually goes back to my extreme aerobatic RC flying days. And we'd fly under lights, and you definitely can see better in extreme aerobatics where you're seeing the back of the airplane. And you know a bit about this, Chad. And, when you can tell your orientation at any angle, that nighttime light's pretty good. So I imagine it does help a lot. I have not shot anything but trap at night, but that'll help. But during the day, it's like you said, it's like practicing before if you have a time. Certainly right before the match is a good thing. And then if you have other time, practicing in between. I get ready every year and I shoot a crazy amount of ammunition for 2 contests. And it's all about bragging rights. And it's over at The Hide, his channel, Steve Green's channel. And he has a bench rest 22 and a bench rest centerfire that we shoot. I spend a crazy amount of time getting ready. And as good as I get everything ready, if you don't shoot before that match, you're going to lose. Right? You need to find out that day where it hits. And he's shooting through a tunnel of trees in the middle of the woods. But even the conditions there change. a lot. So you got to see what's going on.
I've been telling Justin that I'd like to get an inverter, an AC to DC inverter, to where I could put 2 of those big light bars like these guys put on their windshields of their trucks, mount them on the front of the canopy, and turn those things on and have a night shoot. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I only have one of these, but I could bring one down. I have a big LED light that runs on 110. And since I have a generator, I just plug in a generator and we fly the aircraft under that. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually shoot trap at night a lot. We have big LED lights that shine out there. And yeah, it's fun shooting at night. But
what you got to add about lighting, buddy? You already squint a lot. You can't handle much more light.
Who, me?
Yeah.
His eyes open now.
As a hillbilly, I cannot confirm or deny shooting at night. Due to
Mag light.
Yeah, but yeah, the main thing like this lighting stuff, I first kind of read about this in Boomstick's book of excuses. It's chapter 7, excuse number 37 through 48, and he explains a lot about it. And if you ain't got Boomstick's book of excuses, you need to get it. And yeah, there's definitely a difference between shooting, morning, afternoon, evening, night. I mean, and there's a lot of times I'll use illumination on my scope to see if that makes any difference. And I might be wrong, but I think it does help me sometimes. But
well, when you start your shooting career, worried about candle power, you know you're in the wrong game, buddy.
Yeah. Helping Man says if he eats a York peppermint patty before he shoots, then he can concentrate better.
For sure. Or if you stay at Motel 6.
Yeah. Don't you say nothing, George, because you eat Twix before you shoot. I've seen them in your range bag.
While I'm shooting, buddy.
What makes you more competitive, the right or the left Twix, George?
Yeah.
I use the single one, so I don't have to choose.
Okay.
Anybody get what that means?
Yeah.
That's engineer me coming out.
All right, Mike, you got anything to add to the lighting conditions?
No, not really. Nothing that hadn't been said. I guess the thing that I think is kind of funnier to piggyback on what has been said is the whole, prepping for a match and when you shoot for that match, knowing it. I've been putting on this 100-yard rimfire challenge match at one of my local ranges for going on 7 years now, and the guys just hate it that I insist that it's a cold bore match. And when I say cold bore, I mean, I get there at 7:30. I start setting up the targets, and you can't start squeezing triggers till 8:30. So there is no verifying your zero. It's run what you brung when you show up for the match. And I know a lot of these guys are out there. I'm good. I've heard the same thing. Yeah, I was down here yesterday at 3:00. And it's just loving this ammo. Well, we're shooting the match at 8:30 in the morning. There's the conditions are completely different, and they're struggling with those first 2-3 rounds and wondering why they're out in the 6 and 7 ring, and that's exactly why. But the other part on it, I guess I wanted to mention was I don't know if any of you all have ever done it. I've had the opportunity to do it one time. There was someone that held a match in the northern part of the state here. They did it for 2 or 3 years, and then the people that own that range wouldn't allow them to do it anymore. But for 3 Halloweens, they held a monster match, and it drew,
the monster match.
Yeah, it was a Halloween themed match, steel targets with rimfire out to 240 yards, and there were like 60 targets out there. We started shooting it started with the fireworks show, at dusk, and we finished shooting at 3 a.m. That was the funnest thing I've ever done. And, you had to have an illuminated reticle, and and they were generous targets, but they're like zombie targets and this and that. And I wish I would have gotten more footage of that, but what good footage I do have, it was through that scope cam that I had of hitting a few targets, and it was nothing more than the little square rechargeable lithium ion lights on low that they had set up down below the targets so you could see them, and then they had placards that told you that, okay, this is target number 4 right next to it, so you could read it. But I mean, we were shooting out of coffins, off of bloody beds, off of a monster pumpkin. It was just a blast. But anyway, getting off track. The idea or the point was is that shooting at night, and I heard you say this once before, Chad, that you guys can shoot like anytime at your range, and even in the middle of the night. I wish I had ranges around here, because I would put something on like that, because that's a whole different ball game, acquiring a target with an illuminated reticle in the dark, even if it's got some light on it.
And shooting tracers too.
So we have a zombie shoot every year.
Okay.
Once a year.
Leading up to Halloween. Yeah.
But it's more of a 3-gun match. So you start off, you shoot a pistol stage, then you got a rifle stage where you're shooting out to about 75 yards at steel. Then you go to a shotgun stage where they got some of those poppers like the cowboys use. You shoot them and they fall. But one year on the rifle stage, on the rifle stage, I got an AR. Actually, it's back behind me.
Careful.
I ain't touching it. It's back there, but it's got a green light laser on it, and my scope was dead on that rifle. So when I got to the range that evening, I picked out the furthest target. I laid my gun up on the side of my truck. I put my scope on that target, and I zeroed that laser to match my scope. And that night, when we started shooting, it had got hot and humid out, and my glasses started to fog, and I couldn't see through my scope, so I just laid my head over and started shooting with that laser, and I busted all 13 targets with the laser.
Through the fog.
Through the fog, yeah. So, yeah.
That's getting it done right there, buddy.
Yeah, I kind of thought ahead on that deal. I told them one year I'm going to bring a road flare and just light a road flare and sling it out there and then go shoot. They had somebody show up one year and they brought tracer rounds and they accidentally set the hills on fire. So that's we can't do that no more. No more tracers. All right, so let's see. Moving on to our next condition, that would be temperature. And do you test and prepare for different temperatures, different ammo? How do you store your ammo? How do you travel to the match? Do you temper yourself and your equipment to ambient temperatures? Metal sweats, optics fog, and that can happen in as little as 15-degree difference. So how do you prep for temperature? I just go and shoot, and I can't say that I prep. I do have one ammo that shoots good in the colder months, and that is the SK Polar Biathlon. If I'm shooting my semi-auto in the cold weather, then that's my go-to ammo for cold weather shooting because it does perform. So that's my preparation for cold weather. Hot weather, I never thought about this until I met that man over there in the corner, and Rimfire Dave shared with me to start carrying your ammo in a little cooler. So I have a cooler I can put ice in the bottom of it, and it's got a separate compartment on top where I put my ammo up top, and it keeps the ammo cool, and it's also separated from the ice so it don't get wet or anything like that.
I just set mine on top of my beer and cooler. That way it don't get wet.
So
Right
the
next to the
last,
spotlight.
the last two matches I've shot, I've took my ammo in a cooler, and I don't know if anybody at the range even paid attention to that, but uh, I've
So
kept
tell
my.
me, do you see a different downrange? I haven't tried it yet.
I'm not going to say yes or no because both times that I've shot,
Oh, absolutely.
I fought wind.
The wind cancels out every other condition.
Yeah, but
I'll give it a whirl. I have not done it yet.
yeah. So, anyways, Justin, go first.
As simple as, putting your rifle getting it out of the house, putting it in a case, go ahead and put it in your vehicle hours before the match. Let it warm up to ambient temperature. I think that matters.
Yeah.
The temperature of your barrel. The colder it is, it's going to be constricted. Warmer it is, the more expanded. Just acclimating to the ambient temperature, I think, could matter. I don't shoot good enough to know if it did or not, but I'm sure all of you's probably come out of the house or come in from the cold into the house with a rifle scope and it fog up. If you travel to the match with AC blaring and get out in 110-degree weather like Chris Lang has, probably a good chance it's going to fog up. So, something to think about.
Oh yeah.
And yourself too. Like your body. If it's a 110-degree day, maybe drive to the range with the windows down instead of blaring at AC. You may fare a little better in the heat, if you temper yourself on the way.
So, real quick, Helping Man's brought up a totally separate range condition, and he says environmental hazards can be distracting. Black flies, mosquitoes, and Maine swarm and around you, and chiggers biting my ankles in North Carolina. Yeah, you can keep the chiggers. Yeah. I'm out.
Yeah. We have ticks around here.
Dave, how do you prepare for temperature, buddy? Tell us about your lunchbox.
It's a small styrofoam like cooler. I don't know where I got it at. I just put like you do. I put one of those packs in the bottom, and then I put a towel over top of it, folded it several times, and I put my ammo, and I take out what I'm going to shoot that relay, and leave the rest in there. And center fire ammo. If I have to travel any distance at all, I don't let most ammo boxes. Your ammo's up and down. I used to lay mine down because everybody knows if your ammo's up and down, it starts to pack the powder. And if you have a loose neck, also it's changing your seating depth. So I always laid mine down between two pieces of foam and kept it that way. I never kept it upright. And rimfire, I don't have to worry about that, but I do try to keep the temperature the same as where it's stored. I have a thermometer where my ammo's at, and that's the temperature I try to keep it at. And it's simple with the styrofoam cooler.
George?
Cooler, buddy. So I shut the camera off a minute. Go over and get my cooler.
Yeah,
Claymate salt cooler.
That's the same cooler I got.
Yep.
I got one like that.
Yeah.
And I keep my plug up here with my snacks. It's a little zero thing up there. Put your ice down there in the bottom of the little cooler thing you were talking about, the little plastic deal.
Yeah.
Wrap it up in a towel, put it in there. Keep your ammo cool. Like when I shoot out there on the porch, I'm
There you go.
Ammo get warm. But I set my gun, you talk about ambient temperature and stuff. I'm lucky here. I'm really lucky to be able to shoot the way I do. but I'll take my rifle out and leave it setting for 30 minutes to an hour before I ever shoot it, just to let it get up to temperature. And if you keep your ammo
Oh yeah.
at temperature, it makes so much difference. You just try it. Just lay some ammo out and then keep your other ammo in the cooler and shoot them. Just try it yourself. It makes a big difference.
So Helping Man brings up another interesting point.
Big
If you're
difference,
shooting
yes.
if you're shooting cold weather, you can use a hand warmer in your cooler to keep your ammo up to temperature instead of it
I have
freezing.
no problem not
Exactly.
shooting when it's cold.
I just put them in my
Pick
pocket.
for that,
Freeze
don't you,
my
George?
ass in the
It has,
house.
to, it has to get in the 70s before Georgia come out of hibernation.
We shovel snow to find the target stands.
Yeah.
That's right. I might open my door to shoot at a coyote. That's about it, brother. I don't shoot 6 months out of the year.
It says, hey guys, stripping one of my 1022s without leaving it to Google. What's the recommended V-block torque? I believe that's 18 inch-pounds.
You need to test it. That's the real
Not
recommendation.
It's not
15,
much.
18, 20. You
Yeah.
need to test it.
Yeah. So that's the barrel to the action. Yep. I play around my stock settings, but most of the time I put the barrel on it 18 inch-pounds. But I don't know that that's spec. That's just what I do.
I can tell you MDT recommends on that new chassis I was telling you about, Justin.
Yeah.
60 inch-pound generically across. Like, forget that for a 1022.
For your action screws, yeah.
Yeah, but forget that. I don't care if they're chassis or not. That action screw is 15, 18, 20, something in that range.
Most of my 1022s has been in the 15 to 18 inch-pound range. Yep. Derek Casey says, I agree with George. Screw the cold weather. George shot third in February this year, not rimfire. He shot the 3rd of February this year. Yeah. We always have a New Year's Day shoot just for fun. I mean, it might be colder.
Conditions.
It might be colder and crap, but no matter the conditions, we meet up and shoot. So we used to do the same thing in RC Hasbro.
Yeah. Yep.
We'd meet up New Year's Day and we'd fly. If it was just, I remember one year we flew and we put up one airplane and we passed the remote around. Everybody flew it for a few seconds just so they could say they flew. And we put that sucker down, went to the house because it was cold.
And the guy that starts it is the worst one of all. That prop is cold.
Yeah.
Just like when you fly a full-scale plane and you fire it up, you have to hold the door open in the Bonanza for taxiing. It is cold, so you want to get in the air really fast.
So, all right. So who's next? Who was Hasbro?
Has.
Yep.
So cold weather, I haven't tried the polar type ammos. I will. I just haven't yet. What I do is I'm kind of in between George and everybody else. 'Cause I'm a big sissy, so now I take a little buddy propane heater out there, and that thing is awesome. I've been doing it the last 2 years. Like, you don't even have to have the direct air. The radiant heat is awesome. And so I'm comfortable. Even in a Santa suit, freezing my snowballs off.
Yeah.
I was comfortable.
Except for when you get cruel friends like that guy over there, they sneak and stick your heater out in front of your bench so it puts a mirage up in front of your scope.
Hey, it does do that. That is a real thing. Now, when you see a mirage and it's 20 degrees, you got a problem. But in hot,
done that to him.
there has to be something to this ammo temperature. So I'm going to try what these guys are saying. But I know, like, my gun between 70 and 85 is a sweet spot. It'll shoot totally different. Any of my 22s in that range. And so I'll try the ammo. But the thing is, when it's 95, 98 degrees, and you take that ammo out and you put it into a hot gun, how long is it going to stay hot? Not very long. So I'm sure there's a time thing, right? Between the time you take it out and time you shoot it. Have to test that a little bit. Could be a fun video. I will try it.
Boomstick says, "How comes Mike's the only one with a Mr. Heater?" Boomstick, the conditions that Mike shoots in, a Mr. Heater ain't doing a damn bit of good.
Oh, yes, it
He
is.
needs an ice tent, ice fishing tent. That's what he needs.
15 below zero. He's out there shooting 22. Yeah, you can have it.
I've got one has.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, that actually, and I've got a hunting blind too that I've had for years. That before I started doing the YouTube, that I would take out, put over the top of the bench with the body heater on it, and I would take all of my winter garb off because just that hunting blind would keep so much heat in there that I
Oh,
could
that's
be
awesome.
out there in single digit weather and with just a sweatshirt on, so.
So does the
Blackberry,
bullet hit the target with ice on it? Have you tested that?
you Minnesota people are just built different. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's an
Well,
Eskimo.
blackberry brandy does the exact same thing, and it don't,
Hell,
don't
Yeah,
have
there you
to
go.
go that way.
Chris
but-
Lang says he's never shot in cold weather. Chris, define cold weather in Texas, buddy.
No
What is
kidding.
that, like 70?
Well, put it this way,
High pitches.
their water heaters, most usually their water heaters and all that stuff sit out on the outside of their houses.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when it does freeze, they always lose water because it freezes their lines and all that stuff. And
All right, Hillbilly, you got anything to add about preparations for temperature conditions?
well, I mean, everybody's showing their coolers. I was going to get mine, but it's got wheels and a handle on it, and I don't think it'll all fit in the screen anyhow. But that's big must, especially you're going on a long day out in the sun, trap shooting.
Full of
but,
White Claw.
Well, you got the White Claw to shoot, but no doubt about that. I mean, I've shot in, of course, all different conditions. I mean, I know different temperatures, or it's different, from where you're at. We get a nice snow. I can have 8 inches of snow outside and be out there, just in my, I'll put my coveralls on, just my bibs, but I'll be in a t-shirt, and with 8 inches of snow out there. And, it's not bad, depend, if it's cold and blowing, yeah, but, I've not done the bench rest shooting, per se in that type of weather, but I probably will, come more this summer and, in the, maybe this winter, but, I don't know. I mean, we've always kept our ammo, out of the sun, either if it's in the shade of the floorboard of the truck or same way with winter. I mean, regardless of what we're shooting, we've always tried to keep our ammo, in a decent, environment. But I'm sure it makes a big difference. I mean, I've been out deer hunting before to where didn't see anything go to eject my, live round, and it'd be stuck in the barrel, just from, the brass and the cold steel, and so I guarantee it makes a big difference.
All right, before we jump to Mike, Rustic Rimfire says that if it's 95 degrees, he leaves the ammo in the freezer for an hour, then he puts it in a cooler pack with a freezer pack, only to take it out to shoot. Seems to work for him. Wintertime, I throw ammo outside for an hour or two before I shoot. Then we got Ron 2A Matters that's jumped on. Welcome in here, buddy.
Hey, Ron.
And then Mike, before we jump over to you, looks like Boomstick's trying to set up a vacation for Chris Lang. His coldest temperature down there in Texas is like 40 degrees. So Boom's trying to talk him into coming over to your house in January for a vacation.
Yeah, you should wait till the second week of February when we do our snowstorm of the century match, 200-yard mini Palma match with rimfire, 200 yards second Saturday in February, and we've only missed it 1 year in like 27 years at that range. And the
That's
one
like,
year we missed it was because we had a lot of heavy, wet snow, and it collapsed the roof over the firing point. So,
and
So
that's like 0 degree weather, right?
there have been days, there have been Februarys where it was 56 degrees and the grass was green, and there have been years that we went out there and everybody, knew that they needed to bring a snow shovel with because we had to shovel 3 feet of snow off of the berm just so when you put the target carriers up in the air, you could see it
You can
because
see it.
they were hidden by the berm. So,
well,
yeah,
then
There
what are
you
you
go.
all worried about? Cold bore shots. Every shot will be a cold bore.
No kidding.
yeah, well.
We've got Dale Pogue jumping in there. Hello, Dale.
Hey, buddy.
All right, so I think the next topic we've pretty much covered a lot of it. It was condition of air density and barometric pressure, and it says, can you predict what and will happen with ammo you have chosen to shoot the match with? Uh, he says, now that I brought this up, will you try testing different ammo conditions to analyze the data? And I think we've discussed that we realize we need to try to test our ammo in the same conditions that we're going to shoot a match in, because it will perform differently. So ideally, yeah, I think you would. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that, or we all agree we can skip that and go on to the next topic?
Well, I do, especially when I do a center fire match. You
Yeah.
can guarantee that if I'm shooting Saturday, I'm loading Thursday or Friday. And I've already shot and tested at that temperature because you're right, it's a big difference. Now, at rimfire, I shoot what I have that shoots good in the gun. But
I'll tell you one thing about this area. Whenever I'm load testing for centerfire, this ain't rimfire, but when I'm doing it for centerfire, and I get my load, man, and it's just drilling, I load everything I can that day. While the temperature's the same, while my powder's the same, everything's the same, I load everything that I can that day. I don't do it. I'm talking about. I'm not going to do it. 2 or 3 weeks before the match. I'm just talking about a couple of days before the match. I'll get out and shoot some with my load. I know it's right. I load everything that day while it's shooting good. I believe that's mainly got to do with the powder drawing moisture. It doesn't matter where you got it, whether it's in a powder drop or a machine or whatever you're doing it with. I think it's just moisture in your powder more than anything.
I think barometric pressure affects a lot too. I mean, the weight density that you're per volume, and that specific
Yeah.
air density is, can be different.
Yeah. So, yeah.
well, where Mr. Mountain Warfare Marine lives, there one day might be 70, the next day might be 94 in the summertime. That could be hard to deal with.
You got to think about different
Mountain
temperatures, different environments. Burn rate to powder is going to be different. As elevation or air density, bullet flight's going to be different. Different air.
Humidity got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, humidity.
Yeah.
I think thick, dense air rimfires perform the best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you're not testing, like some ammos might like thin air, some may like heavy air. You may have one load that shoots better in one than the other. It's worth trying ammo testing in different environmental conditions.
Yep. Rustic Rimfire says heavy air needs faster bullets.
Yeah.
Helping Man says that he's had difficulty extracting some cases from the barrel when the ammo is hot as well.
And change pressure, yeah.
Yep. Burn rates, expansion,
Right.
more pressure.
Yeah.
Chamber pressure.
Yeah. One of the things, I guess, the only thing I'd like to throw in on the whole talking about air density and barometrics and dew points and stuff like that is something that's a common misnomer, or people think the wrong thing if you're just to ask them. What do you think what's the effect on a bullet in the rain? Is it going to make it drop, or is it going to make it probably go higher? And the truth of the matter is the bullet's it's going to go higher, because if it's raining, the barometric pressure's dropped most likely. So whenever it rains, it's usually a drop in your barometric pressure because of the atmospherics that are going on. And people think that if it started raining, I need to, aim a little bit lower. No, you don't, or well, actually you do, because the bullet's probably going to travel higher. The chances of raindrops actually hitting a bullet in flight because of the cone and the effect of the air turbulence flowing over the bullet, not likely. And that's just something that can be ballistically proven out. And that goes back to my, artillery years and understanding ballistics. There's a forcing cone effect that happens in front of the bullet that creates an airstream over and around it, and the chance of a droplet of rain actually touching that thing in flight are slim to nil. It's being shed off and around it, so it's not going to drive the bullet down, but that difference in the barometric pressure and the less dense air is going to probably raise the flight or the path of the bullet up, because it's slicker going through the air in those conditions. And just something else if you ever want to go try it out, and when it's raining, or it stops raining, or it starts raining, or you feel a storm front coming in, take a couple more quick shots and see what happens to the bullet. It's going to go high.
Let me learn you fellers a little some of hillbilly technology.
Here it comes.
Honestly, this will work every time. And you have a mason jar, just regular glass mason jar. You find your glass pop bottle that'll slide down in that jar, and not tight, but it'll go like you move the bottle up and down. You fill that bottle, that mason jar, about 3/4 of the way. Put you some food dye in there. Fill about 3/4 of the way with water. Put some food dye in there, so it's just easier to see the water level. You slide that bottle down in there and just let it set. When the barometric pressure rises, the water will suck up in that bottle. And the higher it sucks up in that bottle, the more barometric pressure you got. And I mean, Hillbilly's been using that for years for fishing and all kinds of stuff. And
tested moonshine. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know about moonshine, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you can measure here the barometric pressure just like that. Well, everybody's got a mason jar and a pop bottle and some water, so it don't cost you a dime.
So Boomstick says it, and I was getting ready to say the same thing. Me and Justin have talked about it several times. Some of our best groups we've shot's been in the rain.
It just is.
Here's something related. There's something related to what Mike was saying. It's like a lot of people do get this wrong. They think, okay, when am I going to be able to shoot farther and faster? And they think, oh, it's cold weather, right? Low humidity, but it's higher density, much higher density. And sometimes hot weather and hot weather that's dry, you can get significantly higher velocities.
It's thinner.
That because the air is less dense.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like higher elevation.
Yep.
It's film changes.
I was shooting one of the challenge targets just here a day or so ago. I think there's a video on it, and you ought to be able to hear me say in the video, the sun's come out, my shots are starting to go high. And that's a fact. When the sun comes out and starts shining hard, your shots will go high. And you ain't paying attention.
Also
has something to do with the heat rising from the ground too.
Right. And it's got a lot to do with how far your target is off the ground too. The closer your target is to the ground, the worse that's going to be.
Awesome stuff, guys.
All right, so let's move on to the last topic of tonight, and that is the condition of the range itself. And I have recently heard the man over here in the top corner talk about this condition. Most matches, and we don't do this at our match, we're not quite big enough. Most matches you go to, they'll draw for benches. And sometimes the benches may not all be the same. I know Justin and I went to an ABRA match one time, and they had about 8 new benches that were really nice, and they had about 8 older benches that were rougher than a cob, and they were definitely different to shoot off of. So, do you come prepared for getting the worst bench? Something as simple as hanging a target can ruin your match. A shaken target can flap in the wind and affect your shot placement. A loose pin target can move or even blow down. And some range rules are, if your target blows off, then that's it. Whatever your score was, that's what your score was. A out of level target can add stress to the aiming. Do you bring your own stools, chairs, seat cushions? Could that change the outcome of your match? Share your experience on how you prepare for the range itself, and some of us shoot at different ranges. So, first off, I mentioned it earlier, Justin created the itinerary tonight. That's why it seems like I'm reading, because I am. And it's been great topics, and it's been a great discussion. So thank you, Justin, for creating the itinerary tonight. And I will let you go first. And, well, I'll just go ahead and say what I got to say. I usually set up on Station 8 because that's right by the scoring table. I do the scoring. I take the money for people to enter the matches. My table's there. So I usually put all my stuff at Station 8, which is our last bench. And there's only 2 bad benches at our range. And that's Station 8 and that's Station 1. Station 1 is because the concrete's a little too short. If you don't watch what you're doing, you'll roll your chair off the concrete and you're going to be laying in the gravel.
You need to left-hand shooter at Station 1.
So we're going to fix that. The next time we do a concrete pour, we're going to extend that pad a little bit to where you got more room for your chair. Station 8 seems like every time we have a match, that's where the sun is coming in on my bench, and it's getting my rifle hot. It's getting my ammo hot. It's getting my head hot. I'm sweating. Just I feel like the worst 2 benches at our range is 1 and 8.
The 2 outside ones.
Yep.
That's like regular production. Worst production days are Monday and Fridays. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, we were fortunate enough that someone made a donation to our range for the matches. So we have 8 stools that are adjustable, and we keep them put up, and we only get them out for match days so that we know they're taken care of. So we got some really nice stools to shoot off of when we actually have a match. If you go there any given day of the week, there's a couple of bar stools and some old metal folding chairs. So, Justin, how do you prepare for all that was mentioned there?
So, we have shot some different ranges, me and Chad, but for the most part, we shoot our range. As mentioned, the stools he was talking about, I actually bought a stool exactly like the one we used. So, consistency to me is accuracy, and the more consistent you can practice, the conditions to be the same. So I bought the same stool as what we have, and so that way that's the same. Just what I was talking about with the targets. If your target backer is moving, with the wind, it's not going to be in the same place. What you're aiming at and pull the trigger, if it moves while the bullet's in flight, you know, you don't need to fight that too. Something simple as just propping a rock against it, or putting a wedge in it, or whatever it takes, a door shim. The more rigid that target is, it has to help you.
You
Carry
seen
some
my
extra
videos.
thumbtacks with you. What's that?
If you've seen my videos, it's like, holy cow.
Yeah,
Well,
something simple as bringing your own thumbtacks, and putting a few more tacks in the paper. That can save you match.
Even Boomstick, I've seen a lot of his videos where he shoots like the campaign signs that gets put up beside the road. Not accusing him of stealing them from the side of the road, but
now he just runs for lots of offices.
he runs for office a lot, yes. But you can see in his videos, sometimes his targets was doing this, and that does affect your accuracy. But I think since then he's gotten a actual target stand made to correct some of that. But he's one I can think of that I've watched shoot those signs, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, before we had our permanent target stands at the range, I'd get those things and shoot at them all the time, and they move a lot, and you don't realize it, but they're hurting you. So
the more rigid the target is, the more accurate you're going to shoot.
I got a video on my channel. You have to go back a little ways, but under $10, you can make a dang good target stand that comes apart and you can take with you. It's literally one treated 2x4 and a couple, and I can remember. I think it's one first strip, maybe two first strips, and then some of the foam backing deal that you can buy at Dollar General or wherever, and it holds up good. I mean, it's super simple. You can throw it in the trunk of your car.
Yep.
And
Rustic Rimfire's saying he uses a drummer's stand, which don't have wheels on it, so you don't have to worry about it rolling around. Which is basically that's the same style stool as what we're using. Ours just has wheels on it. Kind of the same concept. But yeah, a drummer's stand would be perfect.
That's a great stool. Yep.
Yeah. Now, they also have those with basically what they call a saddle seat, which would be something similar to a motorcycle seat.
Yep.
And those are very, very comfortable.
Boomstick says those target stands are free.
You can find them side the road everywhere.
If you don't get caught, they're free.
Right.
How about you, Dave? How do you make preparations? And I know that you recently had an experience with getting put on a crappy bench.
Yeah, not every match, but I take my own chair. It's a Sinclair adjustable. It's perfect because no two benches are the same height, so you got to have adjustable. And a lot of guys use those drummer stools. They're nice too. And they give you 4 or 5 tacks to put your target up. And I take another 8 or 10 because according to the rules, there's no ceasefire if your target blows down. But they call it anyways. Oh, his target blew down. But I always take wedges like Justin says. I buy them
door shims.
I call them door shims.
Yeah.
And I take a pack of them and put them. At the last match, I saw a guy put a big old spike in the ground and run 2 strings down from the top of the target frame down to that stake he drove in the ground to keep it tight. That's how bad they were moving. And I take everything. I take a blanket with me. I take everything possible so I can shoot.
Dave's got a chainsaw, a weed eater. No,
here's one thing I don't have. I don't have a trunk in my car. You must drive an old car, hillbilly.
Helping Man says he brings his own padded chair. It swivels and adjusts for height. No arms on it. He also brings half-inch plywood and neoprene squares to adjust the height of the rear rest. Not all ranges
Yes.
are level. Yep, that's true.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Buku, I
At
tell
one
you,
range,
Boom,
I'd have to take a hockey puck.
Boom wants to bring a recliner to the range.
What about a hemorrhoid ring?
There you go.
Yeah.
No, I do not do that.
George, what about you, buddy? What's some things you know you might face going to the range? You take extras with you.
Well, I take my own chair everywhere I go. I'm in a wheelchair in case nobody knew.
Yep.
But I will tell you one thing, one of the best things you can do is sit in the middle of the range. Get the bench that's in the middle of the range. And the reason for that is you can see the wind coming from both directions. Other people will have flags
Exactly.
out, and wind never comes as a wall. It's always in a wedge. And you will see it, sometimes it's in a pointed arrow, but it's never a wall. And if you're sitting in the middle, you can see that guy's flags out there on bench 12 or whatever. You see his flag starting to move, then you'll see it hit 11, 10 coming right at you or whatever. It's just always sit in the middle of the range, especially if you're unfamiliar with the range.
That's where we should have sat at the coat tip.
We draw for benches.
Yeah, we drop
Yeah,
for benches.
Yeah, a lot of times you shoot ARA or something. It's first come, first serve. You don't get a choice to put you wherever.
So the co-tipple is a big building in the holler, and they got these drop-out windows, and you set up at your bench, you shoot out those windows. And the day we shot down there, the wind was coming up that holler, hitting that building, and it was coming around both sides of it. So the targets are out here, and you could look, and over here the wind would be blowing this way. Over here the wind was blowing this way. It was that building was cutting the wind, but when it would break past that building, it was coming back in.
Wow.
About 25 yards, it was converging.
Yep. It was.
George just shows up early and puts a handicap sticker on that metal bench.
That's it. Lock.
That works, man. I do get the best parking spots, though.
Yeah, there you go.
Hasbro.
Well, I'm probably going to be a little bit more like Mike is, I suspect. We'll see what his answer is. But I sort of rung what you brung, right? When I get there, it could be any metal chair, any metal station. At our range, you're all concrete benches. They're pretty consistent. But I'll try to find the same type of chair I normally sit at. And then I spend time getting comfortable, adjusting the rest, I take 4 or 5 bags with me, find the right bag. I spend time getting comfortable more than I would take a chair or something to that. And the reason that also is the case is if you shoot. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, that's true.
Is that why you take the Winnebago? So you can
that's it.
He takes his house with him.
But if you shoot NRL or PRS, you're not going to be comfortable. The whole point is not to be comfortable. And if you shoot prone, you're never going to be comfortable. So you might as well figure out how to adjust. That's just what I've been doing lately. I'd much rather get everything exactly the same. I try to adjust.
Since we're talking about comfort, guys, I invited Hasbro to come to our range and shoot in a few weeks. And he said he would come as long as he could park his Winnebago at the range.
Well, onboard generator, AC, fridge, Starlink satellite. We're going to be good.
Yeah, I'll give you a power hookup.
We're going to be roughing it.
You're limited to 20 amps, but I'll give you a power hookup.
Yeah.
All right. That'd be fun. I'm going up there tomorrow, in fact.
Hillbilly, what kind of extra preparations do you make for your range trips?
Well, I don't really make range trips. I have a range here at my house. And so, like, I've never shot an indoor range in my life. I very seldom ever go to range. Everybody around here can shoot on their own property. So, I mean, the nearest range is at least 45 minutes, an hour away, minimum. And, so, I would think, though, I mean, just kind of take what, everybody's pretty much answered that. So, I just figured right now I'd go ahead and share, like what most of us hillbillies use. And this is kind of for all weather, all types of different things. So you just get you a good old hickory stick, like this right here. You drive it in the ground. And this helps out a lot. If it's white, it's snowing. If it's wet, it's raining. If it's leaning one way or the other, and then for wind, you just take the toilet paper and you put over the top of it. And then you got your wind flag, everything. And this also comes in handy for other stuff, too. So.
What if it's gone?
Yeah.
You got to replace it.
Somebody took it. I mean,
Couldn't do that during COVID, Hillbilly. That was high demand.
I thought if it was gone, it was a tornado.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Gone.
Yeah, there's been those situations out there. I mean, I literally filmed a video the other day fixing, I showed it on my VIPs, fixing to shoot a deal, and it's like, it's getting cloudy, and luckily I have a canopy thing out there now, and 30 seconds later I'm sitting under the canopy filming, and it's just pouring rain. It's like, well, it'll be gone here in a few minutes, and I'll finish this video. But yeah, it's kind of how it is. I'm sure a lot of people's like that, in the hills and stuff. Weather's always changing, so if you don't like it, just wait a few minutes. And
Hey, Chad, I got a question for you.
What's that?
When you get ready for every time you ask Hillbilly, hey, Hillbilly, what do you think? Are you like grabbing your chair, grabbing the wall, trying to hang on for this answer?
Yeah, I never know what I'm going to get with him.
Like waking up a new day every day.
I think he's pulling his boots up is what he's doing.
Boomstick says he's perfectly happy with his rear bag until Dave showed all his rear bags.
Yep. He's bag envy now.
Yep. What about you, Mike? What kind of preparations do you make, buddy?
Kind of, I guess what Has said. I don't do a lot of preparations. It's whatever I get is what I get. I hope my preparation is going to be, did I bring all the things like what we talked about last week, preparing for a match. And the matches that I have shot or do shoot out here that are more in the bench rest style, the one that I hold, the mini Palma match, which is shot from a prone position at 200 yards. That's that February match I'm talking about. But all those matches you don't get to pick your bench or your shooting position. You're assigned a shooter number or something to that effect, and that's the firing point you got to line up to. Or like when I do my 100-yard rimfire challenge that I've been putting on for a few years here, the first year I did it, a couple of people were arguing about, no, that's my bench. I always shoot off that bench. I was like, okay, well, we fixed that the next year, and I brought a deck of Uno cards out, and everybody drew an Uno card, and we had 10 benches, 4 or 6 are concrete, 4 of them are wooden, and whatever Uno card 0 to 9, you got that bench, and whoever got the wild card, out of that group, they got to be able to go bump. If they didn't like the bench that they're at, they could go bump someone off of another bench. So, and then make them take the crappy bench. And it was yep, it was just a way to make it okay. Everybody, this is supposed to be fun. Don't take it so dang serious, type of a deal. But and then it's just my thing with shooting that type of stuff or anything really is getting you out of your comfort zone. It's why I shot the 2 challenge targets at the same time here this last week. People are like, "Why would you do that?" Because it's outside of my comfort zone. I tried something different. That wasn't practice. Those are 2 targets I put up, and I did it one time, and that's what it was. So yeah, it's like doing the cold bore stuff. You got to get outside your comfort zone and try some things that are different. I just thought of something I wanted to share with everybody. Maybe some of you all have seen this somewhere before as well. And I wish I had a picture. I know I've got something on a drive around here, but my favorite range, the range I've been going to the longest time, we've got a weather station at the range there, and it's a pretty amazing weather station. It's a big board, and it tells you this is a post 435 weather station, and it's got a rope that hangs down, and it's got about a 15-pound rock that is tethered to the rope that sits there, and it tells you right on the board. It says, if the rock is blue, it's cold. If the rock is wet, it's raining. If the rock is moving, it's windy. If the rock is gone, tornado.
That's good.
All right. Well, that wraps up our topics for this week. And I know a lot of us are rimfire shooters, challenge target shooters. But I want to take a minute and shout out some of these guys in the side chat that also have content. Um, and that's Chris Lang and Fuku YT, which is better known as Boomstick, Rustic Rimfire, Lead Fever, J Delta 22. I've seen all those guys in the side chat tonight, and they all make good rimfire content, shooting these challenge targets. Of course, you got Southern Rifle here, Hasbro, uh, Mike at MN Shooting Sports. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of people out there putting out good targets, good content, and it's grown so much that it's a challenge to keep up with it all. It really is. Um, but I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We've stayed around the 30s in the viewers up there. I mean, I've seen it as high as 38. Um, we've had good interaction in the side chat tonight. Um, if you haven't already, I encourage you to go over and put a like. If you would, please. If you're not a subscriber, I would like for you to consider subscribing and come back and join us for Fridays to come. This group of guys, they've been joining me every Friday ever since this started. And we have a good time on here. Every now and then we get kicked out of here, but we're trying to be better. So thanks everybody for joining. We'll go around the room real quick, and everybody can talk about what they got coming up, and we'll bring this thing to a close. And Mike, we'll just go ahead and start with you, and we'll just go back around the room.
If you haven't shot Eli and my collaboration target, the 100-yard hustler, please get out there and do it. There's not a lot of people that have done that yet, so I can get your video or your target submission updated on the website for that. And yeah, other than that, I really don't have anything else major going on. Maybe I might have something to mention next week on the panel or talk about a little bit, but not today.
He's up to something.
Not something. Not what you're thinking. No, not something like it. There's something new coming out. I'll just throw it out there. I got asked by the gun club that I've been part of for the longest time. I said I would never do this again. I was asked and pleaded with if I would come back on the board and be the executive officer and the chief range safety officer out there. And the clubs went through a lot of problems, but they're headed in the right direction. We've merged with another outdoors club, and they brought a high school trap team in and are allowing them to use the range. So the club has a future again. Instead of a bunch of old guys that don't want to change, we're finally going in the right direction. So I'm willing to be part of that again, instead of having a whole bunch of guys older than me telling me why we can't do everything. So
Yep, good deal. Yep. That's our range is so
Diverse.
it's so diverse. We got high school trap shooters at our range, and some of them they come and shoot other events, uh, and then the parents of the high school shooters, some of them have come and shot with us. I mean, it's good to be open to things like that because you gain shooters, and
Yep.
you want the club to go on. You don't want it to stop with who's there. And that seems to be a problem a lot. Things get stale and people start quitting. And I will say, in the last 3 years, our club has made a turnaround. We've made a lot of range improvements. We've brought in some new style shooting. Um, and the turnouts are growing, and the club's growing. So, if that's a good thing, Mike. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hillbilly, what you got coming up, buddy?
Oh man, well, tomorrow night we got Guns, Beer, and Therapy. It's every Saturday night, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. So if you ain't doing nothing, swing by and see us. Always try to have a good time over there. We also have these hard seltzer challenges, and I've been working on these for quite a while. I wanted to get them right, and there's a lot of stuff, challenge targets come over through the winter, the holidays and all that. So I wanted to wait till spring to release this so people can have good weather. And, there's different ones. All of them's different. We have BB guns from 7 yards. We got, like I said, there's 4 different ones now. But we got BB guns from 7 yards. We got bench rest rifle, 50 yards. We have pistol at 7 yards, and I just added a new one, cowboy rifle, which is iron sights, lever action, 15 yards. And if you don't have a lever action, you can actually use a regular rifle. It's just basically on that, there's just no rear peep sight, But trying to do these, and the calibers are open. I mean, if you want to shoot a 22, that's fine. If you want to shoot, 357, on the pistol, or 38, 338 Lapua on the rifle, it don't matter. They're open calibers. There's just a few rules and stipulations in there, and we want to do something that everybody could get out and shoot. Try to encourage people to get out to the range. Not everybody has a bench rest 22 rifle, and so as much as I enjoy doing that, I wanted something that hopefully everybody could get out and get to. Hasbro and Nibs, they've done really good about the BB guns and getting people involved in all that. So wanted to kind of be a part of all that also. So anyway, it's just everybody get out there, have fun. We will be doing a giveaway. It's just the people that enter it and do the videos and all that, and use the hashtag, then their names are going to be going into, a deal. We're going to do, different giveaways. And also, if you can do it at your range, a separate giveaway is putting a hard seltzer can out there and actually shooting it, with, if it's a BB gun or a pistol, whatever you're doing that day, with that target. And so hopefully bring a lot of fun and help rid the world of hard seltzer, So anyway, that's the whole purpose of it, just people getting out and having fun. And we're definitely let this go all month and probably into next month, because actually somebody said, well, you got to let it, go through 4th of July for Let Freedom Ring, and stuff. So anyway, yeah, we'll be probably going into July just a little bit. That way, because weather's different, or some people might not be able to get out and shoot for a month, and so anyway, thanks a lot, Chad, for having me. I appreciate it. Always learn a lot here. Always a great panel. Awesome side chat. And thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you coming on and bringing some humor to the situation. It's always
Well,
good to know
you can't bring knowledge. You better bring some, huh?
it's always good to know the hillbilly
Better be
way,
funny.
you know.
If you ain't smart, you better be funny, right?
That's right. All right, Hasbro, what you got coming up, buddy?
Well, weather depending. I'm pretty much like you guys. Have been rain socked in for a while. It looks like it's going to be this whole weekend. So unfortunately, I got landscaping to do all around the house. I got to get that done. But if it's going to be raining, I've got some ammo load development to do. And some of the stuff is listening to, let's see, let me point this way, this guy, and shooting some lightweight bullets in a 12 twist 223. And then the other is the 6.5 Creedmoor. I have to have that. I'm trying some new bullets and things like that. And I have some really, really good loads, but I want to see if I can do better before about the middle of July. I'll have that 200-yard bench race contest to shoot again. So I'll be doing some of that. And people like to see the reloading side of things. I sort of backed off a little bit because of, well, YouTube, right? And so now I'll show 3 of 10 steps or whatever, and just sort of talk about the rest, and seems to be allowed. So I'll get back to doing some of that. But thanks for having me on. Good being with you guys, including, well, that guy. It's good to be with you all.
George, what you got coming up, buddy?
Well, first, I want to correct something I said last week. I told Hasbro it wasn't worth it to do a 223 Ackley improved. It wasn't worth it to me. To you, it might be. And it is one of the best Ackleys to get into a Wildcat. It's one of the best first rounds to get into a Wildcat with. They're super accurate. Don't get me wrong on that. The reason I said they're not for me is they're not the velocity gain wasn't enough for the trouble. That's what it was to me. But I mean, that might be the best thing it ever was to you. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to correct that. I've felt bad for saying that all week.
It ain't a wild enough cat for George.
Yeah.
Hasbro's not been able to sleep since you said that.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I got to go get a barrel.
But I got the
you can go ahead and delete that video that you made about George Hasbro. You don't have to do that.
Man, that was a good one, too.
The 22 243 is done. I was going to show a picture, but hell, I'm afraid to get kicked off if I did.
Yeah, let's not be outlaws tonight. Boomstick done made it clear we've made it 2 weeks in a row without getting kicked. So
yeah, I'll refrain from that. And but it's done. Waiting on the dives. They back ordered them, but they say they're going to be here this week. So I've got all that. We'll go through reloading it and fixing the brass for it and all that shit. Try to get all that done and try to shoot. I got 2 or 3 videos already scheduled that I made the other day, so you'll see them. And for what it's worth, they're shitty videos. I make shitty videos. I'm sorry. I'm too damn lazy to take another damn camera out there and set up and all that stuff. So, be prepared. They're shitty videos.
as long as you're hitting the target, that's all that matters.
Well, you can't see. There's another thing I was going to bring up. That you brought up all these challenge targets. Man, most of them so damn hard to see when you hit something. It's ridiculous. It's really hard to get it on video if you don't take another camera down there. Even when you do, sometimes they're just really hard to see.
The ones that are dark or got a lot of color in them, they're tough.
They're tough, man. Yep. And just keep in mind, target making people. Neon colors. They're great.
Yep.
I'm gonna shoot
the Ring and Steel challenge that No Pro made, that was kind of a spin-off of Mike's steel challenge he done back around, was that New Year's, Mike?
He stepped out, I believe.
I believe he might have stepped out. Anyways,
he's going AWOL.
those steel plates that are orange or yellow, or you could see those are really good. Your shots. So,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah, that 21 target that I shot the other day, it was
Yep.
just the grays, the gray and the white and the red. You could see really well.
Yep.
Up on video really well.
Dave, what you got coming up, buddy?
I'm going to go shoot the scavenge tomorrow and post a target. And I've been waiting for some new stuff to come, which hasn't come. It's lost in the mail or something. I don't know where it's at. So, and I've been doing the honeydew list because I was laid up for 3 weeks, so I'm way behind, but I'm getting caught up. And it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. It rained a lot today, and then I'm going to make a run to New York to hunting camp and try to get my food plots in Monday. Other than that, I'm going to get my release from the doctor so I can drive down to Kentucky and see what life is like in the southern part of the state.
Yeah, man.
There you
We can't wait. Yep.
You won't never go back.
Dave, you get down there and have some sweet tea, biscuits, and gravy, you may never leave, buddy.
Put in for a change
He didn't tell you it's from the heart attack.
Down here, brother.
I'm excited. I mean, I'm all ready to go. I'm ready.
Yeah, man. We're excited
for you.
Yep.
Hopefully,
2 more doctor's appointments.
Hopefully we can get a little meet and greet together out of that. I told George and Hasbro. I think Hasbro's going to try to get down here, and of course Justin's already here and I'm here, so that would be 4 of us out of this panel. And George, he might get up this way. He's only a couple hours away, so
If I can get,
Yeah,
Darwin or
Nudge-
one of them other boys there Darwin and shit. Can't even think of that. Never mind. But if I can get a ride, I'll be up there.
So what we'll probably try to do is just try to do like a meet and greet shoot with each other on that Saturday. So that would be awesome. Mike, make the trip, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
We got an airport 3/4 mile from the range.
Yeah.
Real quick, Chad, we got Chris Shoemake out there. He says, from over here in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, welcome in here, buddy. Justin, what you got coming up?
If we don't get rained out, we got a defensive pistol match tomorrow. May try to help out with that, shoot it, and I think we're going to do some shooting Sunday. If not at the Pikeville range, at my private range. Definitely going to do some shooting this weekend.
I done a little bit of shooting today. You know, I've said in all these that I've got videos scheduled all the way up to like July something, and I thought that was a little excessive there for a little while, but I'm glad I did that because here lately, with work and life,
And
I've just not had time to get out and make the videos. So I'm so glad that I had these pre-scheduled banked up videos so that I could keep my channel rolling. I got some new stuff. I mean, I picked up a 457 MTR. This week I picked up a 455. I got all my parts in the mail so that I can go up to Dave's house and build my custom rifle.
Several optics.
I got several new optics. I got a new Savage Mark II FV. I've got some new stuff to shoot and make content with. I've had my hands full here lately, so
Yeah.
but I will. Go ahead.
Speaking of some new stuff, where's that 416 challenge target, Dave?
The
Oh,
target.
Your
Yeah,
416 target.
when you gonna get out and shoot that new 416 you just bought?
It's lost in the mail.
Oh, that's what he's waiting on in the
Oh,
mail.
that's the one that hasn't showed up yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right, because
It's
well, maybe
lost.
maybe Justin needs to do that at his private range this weekend because I'm kind of getting tired of that 99 4X being the high score of mine out there now for 3 weeks.
Who shot that?
Me 3 weeks ago.
I believe Chad might have scored me a little bit hard.
I'll take it tomorrow, Mike. I'll take it tomorrow and shoot. If it don't rain, I'll shoot that along with the scavenge.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep,
Pressuring, Mike. Pressuring.
Yep, that's right.
Sure, pressure.
Forgot all
I
about
think-
that challenge target.
I believe that was a call out right here on a
Yeah, it
live.
was.
Yep.
He's rattling some cages.
Someone needs to
Live and in
bust it.
person.
Nibs has shot it now this week with 2 different 460 with a Ranger, which is what I have, and he shot it with a government 416. And there's a couple other people that have shot it that got them that are out there, but I don't know.
I shot
My
it. I
target.
don't even have one.
Yeah.
Well,
Chad
you
had
should
that
borrow
right.
one.
It's not fair with Nibs. He could pull a new one out every day of the week.
Talking about 460 Smith and Wesson pistol.
I got one of them too. No, 416 Stevens.
Stevens.
Yeah, I got to release my embarrassing hard seltzer challenge target that I shot with the 686, but I'm gonna let it rip. But it's embarrassing.
I did do the Savage challenge you got with my new Savage, but I haven't edited the video yet. I haven't had time.
So we just want to do the
Yeah, I
hard
was showing-
seltzer pistol challenge last weekend, and
Yep.
Do that
Chad
savage
forgot the
challenge.
targets.
Listen, this Savage has absolutely blown my mind.
Mike,
new FP?
you and I, and maybe this,
I
maybe
bought-
this guy.
I bought a brand new FV and went
Yep.
to the range and
There you
shot
go.
it. And whoo, doggy! I know what the hype's about. I know what it's all about now.
We need to make a challenge of this panel to get on Elijah's channel and beat all these Anschutz out. I'm in 8th place. But we got enough guys here with FBs that can do this.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to buy some of that 50-cent around ammo then. I
That's
guess that's
Y'all just keep dreaming.
I want to see the no screw duct tape special do it.
The one
Yeah,
screw Mark II.
I've tried the 1 screw budget Mark II on that the stretching it out challenge a couple of times. The thing that kills me is that little 6-18 second focal plane Neos Athlon, that $100 scope that's on.
There,
No glass
excuse.
on it.
There, an excuse. I thought Elijah was the one to excuse
lost
the
him.
target.
well. The problem with Mike Savage though, he can't run a stock class. He's got that duct tape on there and stuff. So
Yeah, he said
That's right. That's right.
modified
Mark
now.
It's got a barrel tuner. It's got a barrel
Unlimited.
tuner.
Unlimited duct tape.
Unlimited, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's going to bring this one to a close. We went about 30 minutes over, which is okay because we had a great conversation tonight. Great topic, great input from the side chat and the panel. I appreciate all you guys jumping on here, being a part of this show, and hope you come back next week. Same time, same place. Let's talk Pinterest. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.